Hi, all. Welcome to Radiant Guidance. My name is Molly. I'm an astrologer bringing you the temporal waves or astrological forecast for October 2024. This is a general collective astrology forecast. And if you're interested in a more personal read, you can book that with me for your unique chart below with the link. Or you can subscribe to my new Patreon at just $8 a month and receive access to a rising sign forecast tailored to your rising sign. And I will show you how to locate that in the videos as well. But that'll give you a deeper personal look at the month ahead, and that's a more affordable way to do so. And if you just like my channel and you want to support me, you can become a Patreon at $3 a month. That's a tip jar of sorts that supports the time and energy it takes to produce this content. So I appreciate your support. Without further ado, let's get into the astrology for October. If you follow my channel, you know that I really focus on planetary aspects. So to the left here, we have a few of the exact aspects between planets that will take place in October. Now, I love focusing on aspects because whether you follow the sidereal or tropical zodiac, planetary aspects are the universal part of astrology. So they are the same no matter what zodiac you're using. It's the geometry, the relationships of the planets to each other, and it can reveal themes that we will experience on collective and personal levels. So beginning with October 8th, we've got an exact Venus and Mars trine. And so the yin and the yang are coming into harmony. On October 14th, we have a square between the Sun and Mars, and this can be kind of an ego conflict with aggression. On October 15th, we have a beautiful Venus and Neptune trine. These two planets are very similar. Neptune is said to be the higher octave of Venus, and so a trine between Venus and Neptune can really elevate our senses to the non material. It can also be a little bit indulgent because they say Venus is like sugar and Neptune's like saccharin, because Neptune can represent those illusory aspects of Venus, the glamour, the glitz, but that Venus Neptune trine is very supportive to any artistic or kind of spiritual endeavor. And then on the 28th, we have Venus squaring Saturn, which is a more stressful connection for the planet of beauty and harmony. It's going to be maybe taking a hard look at finances or relationships in a very practical Saturnian lens. Now, we have an exciting meteor shower on the early morning of October 8th, late night evening of October 7th, called the Draconoid meteor shower. And because this is so soon after that new moon solar eclipse on the 2nd, the night sky will be very dark and it'll be a very magnificent event to see and behold with your eyes if you're into astronomy. Now we have a very interesting festival from Hindu calendar, the Vedic calendar, from October 3rd to the 12th. And both October 3rd and 12th are in my days of harmony that I go into in the next few slides. And so they're auspicious days for the month ahead because it's the beginning and the culmination of this festival that worships goddess Durga. She is the supreme mother deity in Hindu mythology, and it's a 9-day event of really honoring the goddess Durga and her 9 avatars, known as Navadurga. So if you're interested in following along and participating in that, you can research Navadurga and see what avatar is honored on each day. There's like color associations, etc. If you want to keep it simple, you can use Durga mantras during this 9-day period. She's all about overcoming demons. She's a demon slayer, so she's all about overcoming dark forces. And I think that's very auspicious given that we've got an eclipse this month that can bring some of those shadow things up. And it's that liminal time of the year where we're going more inward, it's more dark, and there can be those shadowy themes that emerge. So some people will fast, some will feast. You can really make it your own, but research Durga, research her mantras. She's very associated with Rahu, who can lead people kind of astray, and she helps those under Rahu Dasha or Rahu period kind of like overcome those negative influences. So on October 2nd, we have a much talked about solar eclipse. A solar eclipse is at the new moon, and it's when the moon really becomes in front of the sun and casts its shadow, and so it's pretty dark and can be a period where there's a lot of karmic endings and conclusions, if you will. It can be crises in the collective. If you remember, we had a lunar eclipse last month in Pisces, and then we had some really intense flooding events in North Carolina, a place in the Appalachian Mountains that's not known for what they're calling a biblical level flood. And so back in October of 2005, there was a solar eclipse at this exact degree, conjuncts the South Node as well as it will be this year. And there was an earthquake, a major earthquake. So eclipses can mark these kind of catastrophic or critical events in a collective or personal level. But really, it's about bringing us into realignment. And so it might bring things up to the surface, especially this eclipse. It'll be conjunct Black Moon Lilith and the South Node and Mercury. So there could be more shadows and themes related to Black Moon Lilith, which is like the darker sexual aspects of life. And as we've seen in the past month, if you've followed mainstream media at all, I'm not going to name names or talk about that because my video might be, I don't know, it might get messed with. But you probably know what I'm talking about. And there could be more of those kind of surprising news revelations, that darkness coming up to the surface. If you want to know where the eclipse is happening in your unique chart, you can join that Patreon for $8 a month and follow the rising sign forecast, and it'll give much more detailed nuance at where you can expect these endings and letting go in what realm of life you can expect that based on your natal chart. On October 17th, we have a super full moon in Aries. That just means that the moon will appear closer to the Earth. It is closer to the Earth, so it'll appear bigger. It's one of 4 super moons we had this year. And it is in my days of intensity because it's squaring Pluto. So emotions always kind of ride a little more high and energy is more high on a full moon, but especially because it's squaring Pluto. Speaking of Pluto, Pluto goes direct on October 11th. We have the rest of the outer planets continuing to be retrograde. But Pluto, if you follow Western or tropical astrology, it's its last traversing through the later degrees of Capricorn. And so for those born around 8990 in particular that have a lot of planets or their North Node at that later part of Capricorn, it's that last period of wake up calls, of the push towards transformation, that subconscious work that needs to be done and purged for that collective, because this is the last time Pluto will be in Capricorn ever, in any human lifetime, right? Because it's such a slow moving planet. So we are then having Jupiter turn retrograde on October 11th. And so my keyword for this is temperance or moderation. Jupiter expands and wants to broaden horizons. And when Jupiter turns retrograde on a collective level, people are going to be connecting more to their internal personal philosophies and maybe honing down and not expanding so much on an external level, but really connecting into their truth or their spiritual connections and doing that more inner work. Let's get into the days of intensity. Now, I want you to know that these are not bad, quote unquote, days. It's not that black and white. They are just days where the stressful aspects are more highlighted, you could say. And so it's good to know this because the collective might be a little more on edge and there could just be energies to be more aware of. So the 5th and 6th of October, we have Mercury squaring Mars and the moon squaring Saturn. This can lead to kind of misunderstandings and it can be asking you to slow down, not make a hasty decision, not make a rash decision. That's why I have that little hazard sign there. It's kind of like an alert, like just take it easy. On October 11th, we've got the moon conjunct Pluto, squaring Mercury and Venus. This can also be kind of like a misunderstanding or blow up aspect. And then Pluto turns direct. So you're going to be feeling that collective shift of, this planet of transformation waking up. And by the way, Pluto direct, what does that call us into? Working with the subconscious on a deeper level. Things like hypnotherapy, things like visualization, meditation, things that help us rewire our subconscious and do that shadow work, so to speak, especially those with those tropical placements at late Capricorn. On October 14th, we've got the sun squaring Mars, as I had mentioned earlier, exact. And then the moon is with Saturn, which can just put like a constriction on the collective energy. Venus is opposite Uranus, so the realm of harmony and beauty is feeling a little more erratic on that day. On the 17th, it's that super full moon in Aries squaring Pluto, and then Venus opposite Uranus squaring Saturn. So again, it can kind of be a tumultuous energy on that super full moon day, emotions riding a little more high. On October 23rd, we've got the moon conjoining Mars and it's opposing Pluto. This can be a little aggressive or impulsive energy in the collective. And then on the 31st, we have a black moon. What is that? It's when we have two new moons in the same month, a really rare astrological or astronomical occurrence. And it's squaring Pluto and Mars, and this coincides with Halloween, Samhain period. Mars is also opposite Pluto. It could be another time to kind of like dig deeper into those like internal processes. New moons tend to be when people want to kind of lay low. So if you lead events or groups, usually new moons are what you want to kind of avoid unless you're doing specifically inward related work. But typically people don't really feel inspired to be out and about on those dark periods of the moon. All right, days of harmony. So, as I mentioned, October 3rd, the beginning of that Navaratri festival, is a very auspicious day. Um, we also have the moon trining Jupiter and conjoining Mercury and the sun on this day. So, the moon is in the nakshatra on the 3rd of um, Chitra, which is beneficial for health and body improvements, herb and medicine preparation, mechanical activities, anything involving charisma, elegance, and talent. So it would be a great day to network, especially because, as I mentioned, or maybe I didn't mention, but the first 10 days of October, Mercury is very strong in his own sign. And so any sort of networking you need to do, that would be a good day, especially because Venus is in Swati Nakshatra, which is all about kind of public relations and networking. On October 8th, we've got Venus trining Mars and Saturn is also strong all month long because Saturn is in its own domicile. And we've got this beautiful moon in Jaista on the 8th, which is all about administration, assisting elders, taking care of family, or any sort of occult studies. On the 12th, we have the culmination of Navaratri, so it's considered a very highly blessed day for new beginnings. And we can see this duly noted because the moon will be trining the sun and Jupiter, Mercury and Venus are going to be trining Mars and Saturn. So it's really an excellent time to begin anything. It would be really good to initiate things that can last because of that favorable mercurial aspect to Saturn and Mars. So if you're starting a new business venture or a project or conceiving of anything and launching it, the 12th is a wonderful day for that because of its the culmination of this highly auspicious um, it's called the 10th lunar day, victorious 10th lunar day of victory of Durga over slaying demons, but also because of those very harmonious aspects going on. On the 13th, we have a beautiful combination of Sun trining Jupiter, enhancing vitality, and the moon will be in Dhanishta on this day. So it's good for any sort of lending of money or financial transactions, as well as any sort of treatments for health. Again, I'm not a medical doctor or anything like that, but just good to keep in mind if you need to take care of things and always consult your inner guidance as well. On October 15th, we have a beautiful Venus trine Neptune day that I mentioned earlier, and the moon will be conjunct Neptune, and the moon will be trining Venus. So, a really wonderful day for anything Venusian, anything related to connections or the pleasures of life, or connecting with the higher octaves of spirituality. And on the 20th, we've got an exalted moon. The moon will be in its favorite nakshatra, Rohini, which is a very fertile part of the sky that really rules over gardening, marriage, fertility, purchases, anything where you want to grow something, laying the foundation. Because the moon is also conjoining Jupiter, it's going to inspire a feeling of optimism, of broadening horizons, and could be really good to initiate travel on that day. Jupiter is in a nakshatra, very auspicious for wealth and real estate too. So any sort of major purchase you want to make, the 20th would be a great day if you can do it on that day. Whether gains of the mind or material realm, it's a highly auspicious day. On October 22nd, we have the moon in Ardra Nakshatra conjunct Mars, trining Neptune and Venus. Now, Ardra is all about demolition and destruction. How is that positive? Well, when we're destroying things that we need to dissolve, discarding objects and habits that no longer serve, when we are tearing down structures, literally or metaphorically, managing difficult situations, getting rid of old things, breaking bad habits, addressing problems, or dissolving anything negative, or say you literally need to dissolve a business or some aspect of a project, that would be a great day to embark on that. You will be working with the energies. So there you have it. That is my report for the month of October. Again, if you want a personal reading, you can book below. If you want a more specified forecast to your rising sign, you can join my Patreon at $8 a month. If you simply just want to tip my channel, you can do that on Patreon as well. And I really appreciate your support. Have a beautiful month ahead and stay posted because I'm planning to release some classes, including a class on success through the birth chart. So, success is defined differently by different people, but really, our vocation, our dharma in the world, and the way that we can have resources is seen through the birth chart. And so this will be a deep dive, possibly like a 3-week class where I will go into that. You can bring your own personal charts. I'll answer personal questions. But stay tuned for offerings like that. And I appreciate your support. Have a beautiful month ahead.